Yeah, sorry, it's the heat, it's the heat. Continuing with the last building on the left-hand side. This is our former post office. It looks old, it's not. Because this was built for our World Expo of 1913. The British Pavilion was an interpretation of the Westminster Parliament, where not so long ago they were debating to Brexit or not to Brexit. That's our, that clock tower, that's our little Ben. A very bad British copy. Had to underline our connection that we had with them in the Middle Ages, because those days we didn't have enough sheep. We needed their wool for our textile industry. We made so-called Flemish cloth, luxurious textile. Vlaamslaak, het drapeau flamand, de Vlaamse stoer. Ghent was a huge city because of the grain, rich because of the textile industry. This is the dry theory. More than 50% of the Ghent population worked in this textile industry. Okay, and now you understand why they call Ghent the three-tower city. In the back, that's our 15th century St. Valve's Cathedral, where you can find the most stolen painting in the history of the world. The Ghent altarpiece, known as the Mystic Lamb, Ons Lam Gods, L'Agneau Mystique, das Lammes Gottes. Middle tower is our 14th century belfry. A belfry is a civilian building. This is not a church. It was used as a watchtower where the privileges were kept. On top you can see our golden dragon. It's a dragon, it's not a chicken, it had to protect our privileges. The first tower is our 13th century St. Nicholas Church, which was used as a horse stable by Napoleon Bonaparte, who was not, of course, the best friend of the church. They had some difficulties. Now, they also call Ghent the street art capital. This means a lot of graffiti. You can take a walk here in Ghent, and the walk is called Sorry Not Sorry. And then you see the most important ones, for instance, the one in color. This is a publicity stunt for a movie from and with George Clooney, the Monuments Man, 2014. And you can see several parts of our famous painting, because the intro shows how the Nazis came over here to steal it. Yeah, Clooney said, he was gonna come to Ghent for the world premiere of his own movie in our cathedral. There was like an army of 200 women waiting for him in the pouring rain. He never showed up. They say he had to drink a coffee somewhere else. What else? You get a reduction on your next boat trip. Just because I saw the artist today. The one in black and white, you see the lot in Ghent, is from Klaas van der Linden. What do you see? You see a Native American. He's watching the train entering his country in the 1900s, and actually he doesn't know what to think. The only thing that always stays the same is that everything changes. Now, do we have Americans on board? Then I'm not going to talk about the Treaty of Ghent. Let's talk about our oldest monastery. This is our oldest monastery, 13th century, the one of the Dominicans. In Latin, domus house, canis dog. Those Spanish guard dogs of the church were sent out throughout Europe to most of the cities, because in the eyes of the church, the city was like a dark and evil place, hard to control, where there was prostitution and otherwise stinking people. So it was the task of these preachers to get the people of Ghent on the right track again, in which they would fail miserably. The little building attached, this was not their library, this was their toilet. Everything dropped into the river water, and some people think that it's right over there that the English expression holy shit was invented. But come on, this is ridiculous, you should not believe this. It had consequences, because if you would drink from this river water, you got sicker. Typhus, cholera, we had to drink other stuff. And drinkable water had to be imported for the happy few. It was 8 times as expensive than beer. Children in the morning, beer. It's true. Table beer. So maybe 2% of alcohol. Not a lot of color, not a lot of taste. So the closest thing we know today is Heineken. Sometimes we laugh with the Dutch, but they also laugh with us, and they shouldn't. This is the St. Michael's Bridge. On top you can see St. Michael the Angel. He is the saint patron of the beer brewers, killing a dragon. Now this dragon symbolizes the diseases in the water. The beer brewers prevented the people to become sick. When English people say cheers, we say gezondheid, gezondheid, santé, salut, means good health. And now you know why. And like the former post office, this bridge was built for our World Expo. This is a bad copy of the Pont Neuf in Paris. This is a bad French copy. The grain we used in this grain harbor came from the north of France, from a region called Artois, Artesia. Stella Artois is a famous Flemish beer, because those days Artois was Flanders. It was Louis XIV who took it from us, bastards. The grey building behind the bridge until the 60s, it was a French-speaking school for girls. Let's say until 130 years ago, Ghent was more French-speaking than Brussels. We still call our local football club La Gantoise. And you see the rooftop? That's our most exclusive apartment. 4 million euros. Yeah, of course, there is a liberal politician living up there. Our best known bar was called the Swan. Straight in front of us you can see 2 golden swans on the facade, medieval symbols. Swans are monogam animals swimming towards each other. They form the symbol of love. Take a good look. They go in another direction. This is not a symbol of love, eh? This is the symbol of infidelity. This was a harbor, that was a house of prostitution. 2 swans in the same direction, or the number 22. Hidden symbol of homosexuality. No, we had a famous painter, James Ensor from Ostend, and they say he loved the man, and in a lot of his paintings, 22 was drowned. You understood what I meant. Okay, the yellow facade, yellow facade. They asked in the beginning of the 18th century, let's say 1730, to make 2 exotic animals. And yes, you can see 2 lions. This was not a problem because we had lions in the city. At the oldest zoo in Europe, but above. Those, how you call it? Sea monsters? Those are supposed to be dolphins. We had never seen a dolphin in the 18th century. Yeah, former dolphin. Today, Ghent has about 270,000 inhabitants. During school year, extra 85,000 students. A young city. A lot of parties over here. But when they ask us how deep the water is, we must say 2 meter water, 1 meter of mud, and 1 meter of bicycles. Each year we pull out almost 1,000 bicycles out of the water, and yes, it's because of the students. It's always the same with those students. Left hand side, 17th century old fish market, renovated with private money. Beautiful. Right hand side, the 15th century Great Butcher's Hall has to be renovated by the government, and it shows. In 26, this will become a place where you can park your bikes. The renovation started today. Fish was only sold by women. There's a Dutch, a German, an English expression. Fishwives, they gossip and talk too much. Butchers women, they didn't talk so much and they didn't gossip. That's what they do. This is the Office of Tourism, open every day till 18 o'clock. Now, throughout our city we have a lot of these little alleys. To pull the boat towards the harbor. Rich people use horses. Poor people had to use their wives and kids. It was like this. We have pictures and we have things. Who of you already visited Brussels? Put your hands up. Okay. Do that you know Monica Piss? It's stupid, huh? Yeah, but we have a lot of those. And ours is the most happy one. Yeah, because we have 2 girls now. can't see him yet because it's behind the black umbrella, behind the black umbrella, behind the black umbrella, and now he is there. It's Lena and Lena. You see the two girls? They are peeing. They are peeing, they are not twerking. That's something completely else. All those peeing kits in Belgium were symbols for the people who worked with leather, tenants, leerlooiers, gerber, detaneur. Because in urine there is ammoniac. It makes the leather soft and more flexible. So, urine was gathered in every bar, it had a value, it was sold. Now to sell more too cheap, sometimes people poured water into it, which was not good for the quality. There was the profession of a urine taster to see whether it was pure or not. It's not a joke. Yeah, you might think you have a shitty job. Think again. This bar is called Barazza, and it has an influencer that lives here. It's the cat, Samake. Yeah. It's true, I'm not lying. Behind the street is the 13th century old city center. It's called Watersrol, 14 medieval streets. You must take a walk in there. It's the most beautiful neighborhood we have. It has a concentration of 32 restaurants, 18 nationalities, not one English restaurant. The only one. Okay. Going under the bridge, we enter our first industrial zone, and yes, this is interesting, because that was the first city on the continent which got industrialized. The Manchester of the continent. I wave to the kids, it's always strange to wave to adult people, right? So behind these red facades there were cotton factories, we made wall carpets, yeah, this had huge consequences. It was of course a good thing for our economy, it was a bad thing for the ecology. There was no fish in the water for our typical dentistry. We sell rather saltwater fish. But originally we sold with freshwater fish because of the industrialization. Water got such a poor quality, there was no fish anymore. You can open it with chicken. I have never been here, but maybe back, I'm not saying that. No, it was a disaster, people, for the population, because they had to work more than 100 hours, no payment, dangerous work, unhealthy work, child labor, starting from 5 years old, they made little machines for the kids. So, it's also why dentists from origin a socialist city. Maybe you know the song, the Internationale from the communists. Somebody together. And now I'm going to say something interesting about the huge great flat in front of us. But yeah, what could that? In 2012, we could choose our 3 most ugly buildings, and this has won the silver medal. So we had 3 ugly buildings, and they were built so close to the center. They were one of the main reasons why our center on its own is not allowed on the UNESCO list. Ghent has more protected monuments than Bruges and Brussels combined. Not a complete center. A good thing. We don't want to become a second Bruges, where locals nearly lost their center to tourists. Less than 60% of all the houses in the center of Bruges are lived by locals daily. My grandfather was French, had a house in the center of Bruges. As he passed away, my family sold the house to Germans. Neighbors came from Japan, Denmark. Across the street there's a hotel. Around 8 o'clock in the evening, bars, restaurants starts to close. Bruges is nearly a dead city. People in Ghent, it starts at 8 o'clock with our students. And I'm not sitting here to talk bad about Bruges. I was partly raised over there. Bruges is a lovely city. Ghent is a lively city. We have a real social mix. Behind this bridge stops our Turkish neighborhood. About 10% of the Ghentians have Turkish roots. They came here since the 50s because we asked them to come, to work in our factories, to do jobs Flemish people didn't want to do. And until the 80s, nobody wanted to live in the center. The water was smelly, the roads were dirty. We come from a long way, still a lot of Turkish people living in our center. One day Einstein said everything is relative. I hope you can say it's cheaper here, because the boats are. In Bruges, all boat trips, 30 minutes, 15 euros. In Ghent, 40 minutes, 10 euros. All these things together makes us appreciate the three ugly buildings. Same story in Amsterdam, Venice, Dubrovnik, Barcelona, Santorini. There is a backside on the economic medal of tourism. 2 weeks ago they were demonstrating in Barcelona against tourism. Last week in Mallorca. Prices of the house is way too high for the locals. And I'm going to give you one example, only the Flemish or Dutch speaking on board might know him, because it's an author, somebody who writes books, but only in Flemish. You see, just before the Weeping Willow, the upper 3 levels with the red stones. Until last summer over there lived Herman Brusselmans. He became father. He got his hair for the first time in 37 years. He moved out to another part of the city. This was sold for 1.3 million euros to our Brazilians. Now, I don't know you don't know me, I cannot afford it. Eric Edwards, yeah. Right to start from the left-hand side, those used to be industrial bakeries where we make the so-called Gent Moks. The Gentse Mokken are round, hard, sweet cookies with the taste of anise and cinnamon. Nobody likes those cookies here, so we just put them in plastic bags to sell them to the tourists, and it works, so we don't eat. And we also have typical sweets, officially in Cuba and North. We talk about noses. Now, if you're interested, only the purple ones. The other colors are for tourists. We would never eat a blue, a green, and yellow nose. It's not okay. It's like putting a pineapple on a pizza in Italy. It's disgusting to us, huh? Now you think it's a joke? It's not a joke, huh? I tried it once, a yellow nose. I thought it was pineapple, it was lemon. Terrible. Now, in Europe we have 13 cannons remaining from the Middle Ages, and Mag, the Dulle Greek, Margriton, Rajutolis, Greta is the biggest one. It's true. She shot twice, a half a meter. The bullets were way too heavy. It was more dangerous for the people handling it than for who it was pointed out to. More kids got injured falling off the cannon while taking pictures than it ever hit something. We had to learn to look. There were too much drunk people sleeping in it. The Jet is the biggest remaining cannon in Europe. It has a sister in Edinburgh Castle, and I wanted to visit it. Right next to the Castle of Edinburgh there was the Whiskey Museum. I never saw the castle. So this side of the bridge, wine separated from the beer. The White House next to the black umbrella is our best known bar. Watch out with beers from Ghent, so that's okay. In Belgium we have normal beer, we have double beer, triple beer, and then we have the quadruple. One we only drink it in this bar, especially brewed from this bar. It's on tap, you can't take it with you. Cluster Roeland, like the bell which was hanging in the belfry, the glass has the same shape. 11.5%. You're allowed to drink 3. Then you're okay with 3. And you can't believe me. Your captain's name has been put on the blacklist. And there's another famous bar with the red stone Treupel Kop bij Pol. Pol is a living legend. This man lives for 100 meters himself. And if you drink a couple of these, that's probably you can speak like 5 languages. Now, we're about to leave the River Dillis. We're going to navigate on the second oldest canal in Europe that goes to a sea. The Lieve, 13th century. It was dug out by hand, they had no machine. By women, men had to fight. It took the women 18 years, from 1251 to 69, to dig out the shortest way to the North Sea. 45 kilometers, about 30 miles. Shortest way towards Britain, again, we reach it now. British, remember it. The alternative to get to the north, you want to follow the river to the south, 200 kilometers, paying taxes in Antwerp. Now, nobody likes to pay taxes. And the people of Ghent, especially not in Antwerp. Remember that. Last winter Yeah, once we had 4 towns, right? After the big London fire, 1666, it wasn't allowed anymore. And you had to pay an amount of taxes based on the surface of the ground floor. It's still our national sport to avoid paying taxes. Already exists. 15 seconds. Okay, now prepare your cameras. The Count's Castle, the Château des Comtes, op Schravestein. The one moment of the day.
Wow.
Alright, come on people, there's a problem, eh? Nobody said whoa, we try it again. 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
Now I can continue.
Wow.
A little bit cooperation, eh? Partly built 1180, when our Flemish Count, Philips of the Alsace, when he came back from a crusade, then he had a lot of inspiration. It's a bed and a small copy of Crac de Chevalier in Syria. It was the home of our counts until the 14th century. Then this became a house of justice, a prison, a cotton factory. You must know it was in a terrible state when we renovated it with a lot of romantic elements for the World Expo. Today on the inside, a museum of torture. Until 3 years ago, it was possible to get your wedding fixed in the room of torture. This is not a joke. I know a couple who did this. Yeah, somehow they are no longer together. That's the one.
I was a little one so a bit like that.
The Liebenkai is the most exclusive neighborhood. No bars, no restaurants, without those noisy kayaks. In the red house behind us lives our former Prime Minister, Guy Verhofstadt, the only blue politician living in a red house. It's also the most romantic place here, right? Because the city website says that if you give your first kiss to your new partner under these trees, you stay together forever. I must say, I've done it 3 times and it's
Leave it away, Clyde.
and as you can see, if you have a canoe, a kayak, a jet ski, a speedboat, a paddleboard, a floating swimming pool or a pink flamingo, it's all allowed here. Don't try it in group, you will get fined, eh? That is cool. Yeah, because everybody is welcome here. Even the French speaking, huh? You know, Belgium is a complicated country and yeah, Ghent is a little bit of a left island, politically seen in the rather right region. If you think you understand Belgian politics, they probably explained it wrong. Yeah. The country of the surrealism. And now I can only hope that you are ready for the most important story that has to be told in Ghent, because here on the left hand side is the neighborhood, the court of princes, the Prinsenhof. Let's say until 2 centuries ago, there was a huge palace over here. In this palace was born in the year 1500 Emperor Charles V. Carlos V, Charles Quint, Keizer Karel V. His grandmother was Isabella of Castile, the woman that sent us Columbus to rediscover the New World. On the other side of his family, his grandfather was Maximilian of Austria, Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. Over here was born the first emperor in human history with an empire this big that the sun was always shining somewhere. And over here you you can see 4 statues. They were made by Walter de Buck, founder of the Modern Ghent Festival. The Gentse Feest ended 9 days ago. The biggest cultural festival in Europe. This year more than 1.7 million visitors. Everybody thinks it's fantastic, but the people of Ghent are so happy it's finally over. The statues tell stories about the life of the emperor, all having a woman. There he's kissing a woman because he loved the women. Yeah, he had more than 30 kids officially. He was traveling a lot. He made a lot of wars against the French, the English, the Turks, the Protestants. And in the year 1527, even the Pope in Rome, the Sacco di Roma, he demolished ancient Rome. For all these wars, he needed a lot of tax money. And that's why the best known person ever to be born in Ghent, maybe next to Kevin De Bruyne, is also seen as the most hated person for the people in Ghent. His statue in the neighborhood received several times a bucket of red paint over his head. In the year 1540 we refused to pay taxes, so he came back. He attacked his own city. Then he built a Spanish castle at the confluence with the cannons directed at the city center. Our medieval glory days were over. He punished us. He made us ridiculous. You had to wear a noose, like you're gonna be hanged up. And the noose carriers, the stroppendragers, porteur de nu coulant strikkenträger, is our nickname. This is how he punished us. Statue is looking at the entrance of the castle with a long white shirt on, which is still a Dutch expression that means to be ridiculed, in uw hand gezet worden. And behind his back, he does like this, the international symbol of stubbornness, koppigheid, être têtu, hardnekkigheid. So we did not agree with the punishment. Ghent was always a crazy, rebellious city, and until today, the people of Ghent are seen as really stubborn. And this will never change. So this man has been ridiculed, he has been punished. But he's standing like this, with his breath and the chest in front of him, with the nose in the air, because we're damn proud. This is called the rabot. It comes from the French word rabat. It was an entrance for boats into the city in the Middle Ages. Once we had 6 like these. Okay, it's the only one remaining. It's the only decent remaining thing from our medieval wall. 15th century. Was over here, you had to pay the toll to enter our city. And it was used as a fortified lock. Une écluse fortifiée, een verdedigingssluis. Now people believe it or not, but you can rent this for parties. One of my best friends had his birthday party in here. There's a bar on the inside. And you don't know my friend's fun, but it's not so expensive. That's what we know. Okay, let's talk about the emperor. It was the promise of Marius politics. This is why he inherited the Greek Empire. Not only the New World, half of the European matter later, his soldiers also conquered the Philippines, made by his son Philip II. But the bad side of this marriage politics, intrigue, intrigue. Yeah, he was not only married to his own cousin, Isabella of Portugal. His mother, Johanna de Loco, the crazy one, was vaccinated. Traveled around 3 years through Europe with the dead corpse of her husband Philip the Handsome. So the woman was allowed to get near to the dead body. And just like his grandfather Maximilian had a huge Habsburg chin, did not stop growing. His teeth were in 4 directions and his tongue was too big for his mouth. He couldn't eat or speak properly. Every image you have ever seen of our emperor is an idealized one. Just imagine how ugly this man must have been. In French, a pierre de moelle, a paardenmuil, a horseman. These are to make too much noise without microphones. Not a bad sign from tourists. One of the most beautiful views on that. And it's a steamboat, it's the first day. There's a lovely white building in the middle, it's called the 15th, but people, this is a real city, yeah? This ain't no Disneyland for grown-ups, as they say about some other cities. The castle has been captured once. 1949 by the students of Ghent, as they were furious that the price of a beer rise from 3 to 4 Belgian francs. People, that's 33%. They seized it for 2 days, throwing rotten fruit at the policeman. Then they gave it back at our firemen, because there was no beer left and the firemen had ladders. The first time Belgian firemen used ladders was to free our castle. The story I just told you was on the front page of the New York Times. And each 16th of November, our students are allowed to occupy the castle for 1 day to rethink their beer war with a party. Now, something else. When this was a house of justice, that was the British of decapitation. You spoke bad about the count, you got a nail in your tongue. You stole something, they cut off your hand. You made false money, you got boiled alive on the St. Peter's Square. And you can see the black street lamp. It's not a real street lamp. It works, but it's a piece of art. It's connected to the hospitals in Ghent. Each time a baby gets born, they go on for 1 minute. Now, to be beheaded was a privilege, because it's a way you didn't have to suffer so long. A privilege, so not for women, otherwise you could look under their skirts, and we all know that's not Catholic. So women were buried alive, drowned or burned alive. Small window, 13th century, smallest prison in Ghent. And take a good look, because it's still in use today as a bed and breakfast for pigeons with a fantastic view of the castle. So we have a lot of old buildings here in Ghent, because we were lucky during the World Wars. The first one started the year after our World Expo. We had 9.5 million visitors. It was a huge journey. When they arrived, they came from the east. To the east of Ghent is a little town, Melle. I used to be a school teacher there. The Germans destroyed Melle completely. To make an example, if Ghent would resist, They would do the same thing here. We surrendered immediately. Second World War, 3 days after the invasion, we had pictures of Hitler in the center at the back of a car as a tourist. The Germans lost again. Andrews, center never been bombed. More old buildings than Antwerp, Leuven, Rotterdam, Eindhoven, Arnhem, Nijmegen, Tilburg. We got so lucky. Now we're ending this boat trip with two 19th century bridges. They were built based on the drawings of Leonardo da Vinci, the inventor of the swing bridge. But you can see that the bridges are so low that when sometimes the water level is too high, we can't go under it with our huge covered boats. The last time this happened was December 22. It was the day after France lost against Argentina in the World Cup final football. The water level was so high because we had a lot of problems with all the French steers coming over here that we kept hitting this bridge. This was not so funny for us, huh? Okay, I'm sorry. This last thing is not. No, it was also funny for us. The next week. I hope this boat trip was somehow fun for you, and I was able to convince you Ghent is the most beautiful city in Belgium. But people, please tell it only to your best friends how beautiful it is, and not to everyone. I thank you. Merci beaucoup. Bedankt. Dankeschön. Gracias. Veel veiliger wordt het niet. Dat gaat dus niet van je. Ja, ik denk dat mijn laatste is. Ja, dat gaat. Is dat een hele lijn, dat is niet van je. Ik moet dat laten staan, ik ga wel laten gaan. Bye bye. Enjoy the city. You can drink the beer, coffee. Bye bye, enjoy the city.
There is another one.
Oh, thank you, sweet of you.
After 2 years in Belgium, it's my first time.
Always welcome, always welcome. Ciao, hè?
Ciao.
Enjoy the city.
Yeah.